Welcome to another episode of Two Dorks. This is episode 9. On this podcast, we aim to share video game buying and selling tips, give suggestions about games to watch for, provide tips on how to fund your collection with your collection, and hopefully change the perception that some people have of game sellers in the video game collecting community. And as usual, I have two guests. My guests today are Scott, VG, or Video Game Collectaholic, the man with more complete game collections than I have pairs of socks.
How's it going, everybody?
And then Sean, P1 of the Cartridge Club, Cartridge Bros, our benevolent club leader.
Hey, thanks for having me, Derek. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to start, as we always do, with the last deal or noteworthy pickup or purchase, and get right into it with Scott first.
All right. Well, my last was an eBay purchase this past week. I got something that had been on my want list for quite a while, actually. It is a Neo Geo AES system, and it's one of the few US consoles that I didn't already have, and really literally been on my want list since like 1996. And saw one when I was a kid, so it's just sort of been this unattainable thing that I was putting off because I wanted to get one at a good price and complete in box, and of course it had to be Joe Condish, and it had to have a low serial number because the RGB output on the video is best for systems that are under 70,000 on the serial number.
Okay, I wondered why you wrote something about the serial number on your Twitter. I think it was your Twitter or your Instagram about picking it up. I'm like, why does that matter? But I'm glad you explained.
Yeah, so there's 3 tiers of video, and there's 3 main board revisions on the Neo Geo AES, and the later board revisions, they constantly just got worse in terms of crosstalk and interference. So it's tough to tell. Definitely, it's tough to tell if you're just hooking it up composite. But if you have a RGB output, you can definitely tell the higher serial numbers have a lot of like almost checkerboarding.
Okay, good to know. All right, and you found it on eBay, so I'm assuming you have like searches set up to watch for stuff.
Yep, I use a site called stuffalert.com, and basically it just saves a bunch of whatever custom searches you have, and it'll notify you, send you an email every like 4 hours. It'll check every one of your searches, so it works better than the eBay built-in one that really only checks once a day. It's not anywhere near frequent enough if you're looking for something that pops up rarely, or you're looking to really score a great price on it.
Nice, good to know. All right, and you said, or the next question is, did you get a good price?
I did. They can go anywhere, especially the low serial number ones. They can go anywhere from $350 on up to $700, $800, just depending on condition of the unit, condition of the box, and completeness. And I managed to get the system with a controller, memory card, and a game for $300 shipped. So I was pretty thrilled with that.
Yeah. Cool. I didn't realize you were going to say shipped and complete. Of course it's complete. I forgot. We're talking.
Yeah, I have a OCD problem.
No.
Just a bit.
I think you just have an acquired taste.
Wee bit. Yeah.
Expensive.
Real acquired. Now I need to really try to refrain from getting into game collecting for it, because that just gets crazy. I bought Stone Age Gamer. They had a Black Friday sale, and they were giving 15% off all of their flash carts, which is actually their best sale of the year every year. If you're looking to get flash carts and stock up on them, hold off until Black Friday, and that week every year they have a sale. They normally exclude flash carts from all of their deals, all of their sales, but Black Friday it's 15% off, and then it stacks with a 5% discount on flash cart. So I actually ordered 3 different flash carts, one of them being the new Neo SD, the Neo Geo flash cart, and got 20% off the whole order. And so it was
nice. Yeah,
definitely a tip there if you're in.
A lot of people talking about switching to flash cards lately. A lot of people in the club lately. I think Eric said he picked one up at the same time as you, because you sent out something about your
Yeah, I posted the deal on Twitter, and Eric bought one, and It's Rocket Sauce also hopped on the deal and picked up an EverDrive N8.
Nice. Yeah, so the next question is why, or keeping or selling? You already said you're keeping it, makes sense. And why? You already explained something you saw as a kid, right?
Yeah, it's just been on my want list, and that gets me pretty close to having all of the major U.S. console releases back to the Atari 2600.
Nice. Jealous. All right. So yeah, you already explained everything. Moving on to next person is me. So not nearly as thrilling, but I picked up a pretty good deal actually. 60 brand new 250 gig IDE hard drives. It sounds weird, but sealed also for modding original Xboxes. So original Xbox needs an IDE hard drive. There are adapters you can get. I've tried them; they don't work great. I've modded a few original Xboxes already in the past, and there's one collection of games that I usually put on them takes over 80 gigs, so I need a drive that's at least that big to put a really good collection on them. And RetroPixel, James in the Cartridge Club, hooked me up with that deal. He's actually been watching for that deal for me watching for drives for me and picking up old dead ones for me to do the manual work of testing. But then he came across someone that had boxes of brand new sealed ones. So he asked me if I'd be interested, and he got them for me at $1 a drive, which is ridiculous because these things sell for 30 to 50 to 60 on eBay right now for used ones. So crazy deal. Awesome deal. James is awesome. He's been watching for me for months. So yeah, so that's what I'll be using those for. Then I got 2 boxes of just random GameCube and Wii controllers, a bunch of other random stuff for $100, and it should be worth over 200. So that's good. I wish I would have brought a picture, but it's not fun for audio listeners anyway. And then I think I put a picture on my Instagram and Twitter of a bunch of broken controllers. I didn't know at the time they were for sure broken, so I was taking a risk. But it was I did have the spreadsheet open. I believe it was 3 PS4 controllers, 3 Xbox One controllers, and he threw in an Xbox 360 controller, and all that was $32. So even
Nice.
just for parts, I'm happy. And so one of the controllers worked of the Xbox Ones, and one of the PS4s worked but had a broken trigger, so I just swapped that from the other one. And then the other 4 controllers of PS4 and Xbox One were broken but are good for parts. That's all I got.
Solid transition.
All right, and Sean, what about you?
Super exciting pickups, great deals. Really, really good deals, really good pickups. I actually grabbed Fire Emblem Warriors for the Nintendo Switch. Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition.
You have to say it that way now, don't you? It's Polykill's fault.
Isn't that
Dong.
what it's called?
Dong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Super Lucky's Tale for Xbox One and Wolfenstein 2. I had planned on holding off on Fire Emblem Warriors, Super Lucky's Tale, and Wolfenstein 2 for price drops. I didn't think Fire Emblem was going to price drop. I'm sort of hoping I win a draw on another podcast. And then if I don't, I'm hoping whoever does win it doesn't pick that one so that I can buy that collector's edition from that podcast.
I know what you're talking about.
But I had sent my local game store a list of games I was interested in after E3. And he's like a single-owned store. They'd be like the equivalent of a mom and pop, but I don't think they have kids. And he said, those games you asked me to pre-order for you are in. And I felt terrible sticking him with them because he doesn't normally even order in Xbox One games because nobody that goes there buys them. So I went and picked them up ahead of when I normally would have bought them because I didn't want to leave him holding the bag. And Horizon Zero Dawn, I had pre-ordered as soon as I saw that they were coming out with a complete edition. I knew that would be the version I would play.
Cool. So it's all to keep. Paid not as little as you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll keep Super Lucky's Tale. That's a game for Colleen. She likes the 3D cutesy platformers. So once she's got her fill of Mario, I might throw that in and see if she likes it. If she doesn't, that could go. And in all honesty, I might even consider trading in Fire Emblem and Wolfenstein now when they're still worth more.
Yep.
And then buying them later when they're cheaper when I wanted them. But then I just donated the extra money to the guy that owns that store.
Better off selling them on Kijiji or whatever local classifieds you have.
Yeah, for $10 less than they go for in the store or whatever. Even without tax.
Exactly. Be way better than getting half price at a EV Games or something.
Yeah, so I may flip those, just because I know I'll be able to get them cheaper in the future. So
you could even offer or ask for trades on something you want more, but you probably already bought it.
Yeah, no, there's not really much now that's out. I keep going back and forth on Xenoblade, but yeah, I would put that money aside for probably down the road, maybe a Red Dead Redemption 2 or something.
Yeah. Have you played any of the other Xenoblades?
I played and beat. So I played Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. Really enjoyed it. But I was living at my parents' place when that came out. So that wasn't conducive to playing games, really, because they just had the one television. And so then that got sort of put aside about halfway in. But then my brother bought it for me on 3DS for when I deployed. And I completed it on the 3DS, and I loved it. Massive fan. And then I bought the collector's edition of X and played through that a bit. And it didn't grab me as much as the first one did, and I never went back to finish it. That was one I had wanted to play. It was going to be my game that I play because we were doing that one console challenge when that first came around. Yeah. And then I deployed that January and left my Wii U at home. So I played it for for a couple of weeks in December, and then it got put aside because I deployed, and I never went back.
Gotcha.
But I'm on the fence for 2 because the character models are a little off-putting for me. I'm not a super fan of females in super skimpy clothes with giant chests. In real life or in video games.
You should probably leave.
And I don't know. The combat looks overly complex to me, but I'm still. Easy Allies gave it a really good review, but the reviewer was Ben Moore, and he loves this franchise, so I knew he was going to give it a good review.
Yeah.
So I'm holding off on that till some more people have played it and told me their thoughts.
Speaking of Easy Allies, I have to give you props because I had never listened to it until after hearing one of your weeklies and you pimping it on one of the weeklies. And I started adding it into my rotation. Top-notch stuff.
Yeah, oh, man, they're fantastic. They used to be game trailers.
That's what I've read. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they're really, really amazing guys. They've actually, Brandon Jones and Kyle Bosman have both been on the Cartridge Club with us.
Oh, nice.
And I'm hoping to get Michael Huber for Last of Us in February.
Exclusive. No.
Yeah, hoping. We'll see.
I was on when Kyle was on. He didn't like my opinion of Parappa.
Because it was the wrong opinion.
I don't think anyone liked my opinion of Parappa. All right. We'll move on to the next section. What are you selling? So, like I said, for Sean, you don't really sell that much, as far as I know. You could always prove me wrong, like Curtis did last month. But so feel free to talk about your lack of selling or selling history, anything you've sold in the past, or your methodology to selling. But you're second, so wait for me.
Oh, sorry.
I should have moved it down. But anyway, so just recently I went through all my crap that I have to sell and sorted into piles based on where I plan to sell it. Some things obviously would sell better locally on Kijiji. Some would sell better on eBay. So I kind of separated those things out and try to make a plan to actually get it done, because otherwise I never get things listed. So in the past 2 days, I have sold an AV cable for a PlayStation, which I've found is a consistent churn. I always get those sold. Now I just leave the ad up all the time, and I have people buying them for $5 all the time. So that's nice and consistent to have easy sales like that. And then I sold an N64 for a friend of mine, which she gave me 30% profit or 30% commission on that. And then I sold Spider-Man Web of Shadows for PS3, which is an interesting, less common PS3 game. And then I noticed Scott has his kind of how many things he usually has listed. So I have 15 items on Kijiji right now and 4 items on eBay. And one of the things on eBay is a pair of shoes. So then you can hear me get embarrassed when it's Sean's turn. Okay, Sean. Sorry, when it's Scott's turn. Sean?
Scott's turn. So yeah, I don't, like you mentioned, I don't sell a ton of things. And that sort of goes into something I'm going to mention later on as to why I don't buy a ton of extra stuff. I've become very selective in the last 2 years or so with what I purchase. So there's just not a lot, except for, I guess the 3 games I just mentioned. So there's not a lot of room for me to sell stuff. I've got a stack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 3. I've got a stack of just about 30 NES games. That I'm actually it's all my NES games, but I'm thinking about selling all of them because of the NES Mini and the RetroPie, and I don't know that I'll play them in physical format.
You have a brother with an eBay account.
I do have a brother with an eBay account, yeah, and a skill at selling games on the cheap. So there's a possibility that those will be going soon.
Gotcha. I don't judge. In fact, I support selling anything.
I'm glad you don't. My brother judges enough for everybody.
That's because he wants to borrow the games from you.
I love that judgmentalist name. I laugh every single time.
Me too. I feel a little bad, but I mostly laugh. Yeah.
No shame.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. We all pretty much knew it, I think, that know you. You actually, to note here, you probably are more likely to give things away than to sell them. And that says something about your character.
Yeah, that does happen a lot.
I've heard people are thankful. So, all right, move on to Scott. Scott, what's something you're selling?
I have done a lot of buying and selling over the years. And formerly I owned a couple of video game stores, brick and mortar. And then after I sold those off, I never really got out of the online selling side of things. So pretty much I sell online exclusively, eBay, and I used to sell on Amazon too, but I kind of got out of that. I don't have time to do meetups with Craigslist or meet people locally. So it's just much more easy for my schedule to just do eBay. I have an eBay store that you have at any given time like 200 to 300 things listed. Mostly at this point, it's mostly new games. Whenever I buy stuff, especially if it's collector's edition type stuff, I'll buy 2 or 3 of them in hopes. It's really in hopes that washable, then either Best Buy or Amazon or whoever I'm buying it from will ship them together in a box rather than cram it into a padded envelope and ship it that way. Because I'm a condition on stuff. So again, getting back to the whole OCD thing, with 2 that are extra that I need to get rid of. So they just go on. They go in trades or give them away to friends if they're looking for it.
That's really annoying.
It's a real pain.
It'd be nice if you could just pay a little bit extra, say, I want it in a box.
Right, absolutely. I would love if there was just a checkbox that says, hey, ship this in a box.
Nope. I've never had Amazon locally shipped not in a box.
Yeah, like I've gotten single games in a box.
Yeah.
When I lived in Denver and when I lived in Wisconsin, I got the distribution center for Amazon that served both of those places must have just been really well run because I never got anything damaged, never had any problems. And now that I've moved out to just outside of New York City, and I think it's the New Jersey distribution center, it's just an utter crap fest.
It could be that they all got cheaper at some point, but it was after you moved. You know what I mean?
Well, I've been on like the cheap ass gamer forums for years, since like 2004, and people I've noticed out east back when I was living in the Midwest would always complain too, and I was like, what are you guys talking about? I never have problems.
Gotcha.
And now it's just karma coming back to bite me.
This is what they're talking about. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see.
Shit.
Yeah. So really I sell mostly new stuff, mostly collector's edition stuff. I'm trying to complete some of the, so I'll buy in big lots and then piece out what I need and sell the rest of it, obviously. So that sort of fills out the rest of my inventory. Unique thing that I have for sale is probably the Class of Heroes 2 Kickstarter edition for PSP. Did a Kickstarter to fund that back, I think this was like 2010 or something. The Kickstarter failed and didn't get off the ground, but then they ended up getting the game published anyway. And all of the people that backed the game got a unique copy with unique cover art and a cool little certificate of authenticity and stuff. And it failed, so there was only like backed it, and then those people backed, for like 2 or 3 copies each. So there's only 500 copies of this thing that even exist, and that's probably the most unique item that I have for sale right now.
And all these things that you're buying, let's say you buy 2 collectors or 3 collector's editions, you keep one that's the best condition, you sell the other 2. Are those other 2 you're selling for profit, or are you selling them for what you paid for? Out of curiosity, like
if it's most of the time I'll sell it
just market value, whatever market's doing.
Most of the time I'll sell it at market value. If it's something that's massive, like if it's like a Gears of War collector's edition or something, that I just want to get the hell out of my apartment. So I'm willing to just sell that at cost, especially now that I live in the East Coast, spaces at a severe premium.
Gotcha. And the next section is the tip corner. This is where we try and share some buying and selling tips, anything that people do during a deal that annoys you, or where to find deals. And we're starting off with Sean.
Yeah, so this is a podcast for sellers, and I'm not really a seller, but I'm a buyer. And so maybe this could be a tip for other buyers, but it could also be a tip for sellers. Whatever you're looking for, whether it's a game or a console or whatever you're looking for, decide how much you're willing to pay for it. Figure out to you the absolute max. This is as much as I'm willing to pay on this item. And then don't compromise that. So if you see it for $5 more, walk away. If you don't buy it. If you don't compromise your price, determine how much it's worth to you, pay no more than that. And on the flip side, if you see it for the price that you have already told yourself you're happy to pay, then buy it right away and don't bother haggling. Just get it. You've already told yourself, say you're going to spend $80 in this game. You've already told yourself you're going to spend $80. If there's a guy who's asking $80 for it, just give him the $80. He's going to be happy because he doesn't have somebody else trying to talk him down in price. And maybe he marked his price up a little bit, thinking somebody would talk him down, and he gets an extra bonus. Who knows? He's happy. You paid what you wanted to pay for it. You're happy. And it's so much easier. The transaction is easy and done. Just pick a price, stick to the price is my tip.
You have no idea how much I want to argue with you, but
don't argue.
I like
just explain why you're right.
I like it. Actually,
no, let me hear the flip side.
I forgot I was wearing this shirt. For the audio listeners, my shirt says I'm not arguing. I'm oh my god, now it's backwards. I'm just explaining why I'm right.
I do want to hear the flip. I want to hear from give me your point of view.
I don't want to deter you. I like your tip. It's a good tip.
You're not going
to set your price.
You're not going to change my mind.
I just don't like that don't go below. That's all I don't like. Because if I can save $5 here, that gives me $5 more for something else. That's the only reason why.
So if I see it for $60, I'll grab it for, say I've said I'm going to spend $80 and I see it on a table for $60, then I'll grab it for the $60.
You won't pay me.
No, I'm not going to be like, hey, here's an extra $20 because you look nice.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just saying. So
if a game was 80 and I was willing to pay 80, I would still offer 75 if it was a swap, not a retail store, but if it was a swap, I would have to offer at least $5 less just to save that $5 and put it towards something else. That it's just a different mentality. I try and put everything I have into the collection, and every dollar saved is more I can buy in the collection. None of my own money goes into it, and that has a lot to do with the difference. That's all.
That makes sense. You have been a seller at least one convention, correct?
Me, yeah, at one convention only.
How much did you appreciate customers that just came up and paid what you had written on the sticker?
Oh yeah, big time.
Did it not so?
But if they also offered me like a reasonable, like let's say $5 off $80, I have no problem with that either. That would be just as good of a transaction to me.
You don't get tired of every single person asking for $5 off?
Not at all.
I think this is line in line with just P1's mentality though. Like he likes giving games away. He likes making people feel good.
Yeah.
This is just, you know, it's just happy P1 being happy P1.
Making other people happy.
I guess, yeah. But it makes me happy too. Like, you know, here's what I wanted to pay. I paid it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I understand. I couldn't do it because of the way I buy and sell, right? Even if it was a game that I really wanted. Now I've paid up for games for sure. Especially stuff off eBay that I have a hard time finding. So I've even gone above what I thought I was willing to pay because I was sick of waiting. Let's say, I'm like, I'm going to pay no more than $20 for this game. And then I look and I'm looking and I've got eBay notifications and I never see it come up and I'm just sick of it. And it shows up for 25. I'm like, I'm just doing it. 6 months later, I'm sick of waiting. I'm just going to do it. Especially if I had just made some good sales. Let's say I had saved $5 somewhere else, right?
Fair point.
I don't want to dwell on your tip any longer. I don't want to detract from your tip. It's still a good tip.
It's just not quite big enough.
Moving on. Okay, on to me. So I never remember my tips. I always write them down ahead of time because I'm an idiot. And so I had thought of this recently. It's something I need to do myself, and I did do one time, but I need to do it again. So pull out 3 to 5 games from your collection that you keep forgetting to actually try because you're thinking about getting rid of them. Let's say you have this game, you're like, I heard it was good, I bought it, but it may actually not be a good game, and I may not want to keep it, and I just haven't had time to try it. Just sit down and try 3 to 5 or so games and try them out, see if they're any good, make a decision. And just like Nintendo Hodge's Player Purge he was doing videos of for a while there, just play it or purge it. Play it or purge it. Keep it or sell it. And the money you get, if you do sell it, could go towards something else you actually want more. And the shelf space could help, or just getting comfortable with not looking at your collection and thinking there's all those games I've never played. Because that personally bothers me a lot, is having too many games that I've never actually played. That's it. Scott?
So my tip would be, don't be afraid to part things out. As a collector, this kills me inside a little bit every time I do it, because I collect complete things and I hate really having to track components down or inserts down. But when I'm selling, like Derek said, it's sort of all about the profit margin and being able to put that extra money back into funding more of the collection. So whether it's a collector's edition item or a complete in-box game, I've found that quite often I can maximize my profit by parting it out and selling the game disc in one transaction, selling the instruction manual in another transaction, the game box in another transaction, and even posters and registration cards, things like that. You can really juice your revenue potential by parting things out as much as possible.
I've heard that before. I think I've only done it once, but definitely heard that before. Actually, I think I only do it when in keeping the cartridge, for example, and I'm willing to sell the box and manual.
Yeah, so if I'm trading things into GameStop or Electronics Boutique, if you're in Canada, they obviously don't care. Like they want the game disc. So whenever I trade something in, it's disc only, and then I'll just create a stack of cases. I'll have a stack of PlayStation 3 cases, a stack of Xbox cases, Switch cases, whatever, and then stacks of artwork. And once I get 20, 25 cases, I'll put them all into a lot and sell that lot on eBay. Put all the cover arts into a lot, say assorted cover arts, sell that lot on eBay. And it's basically free money because you're getting full price for the game itself.
So I don't think we do get full price if you don't include the case here.
I don't think they take it with the case.
Wow.
Maybe games will or should, at least around here for sure, because they sell them with those generic cases.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
But I think they do deduct some money off. I know all the independent game stores around here definitely deduct money off if there's no case or manual. But I'm pretty sure EB Games still will do the same thing here.
Really? Yeah.
I haven't traded in there, but I've heard that, I think, from Josh Creepley.
Independent stores here will definitely do it. But GameStop down here, like they'll even go so far as to throw away cases that they have. Like they've completely trashed all of their DS cases, all of their 3DS cases,
But
a lot of Vita cases in places. It's just you go in, it's all game only, and they throw the stuff away. It's terrible.
That is crazy. Yeah, NJ Retro has a deal with one where they save all the DS cases for him, and he just goes in and gets 100 DS cases at a time.
That's awesome. Good for
Blows
him.
me away.
I do need to do a bulk lot of loose cases because I'm sick of having all these, empty cases because I have way too many. I have like 2 boxes full of them, plus another box of DS cases with nothing in them, just blank DS cases.
That's a really good tip, Scott, because everybody knows that a bundle of games goes for cheaper than selling the games individually, but not a lot of people would consider that the complete game itself is a bundle, and that you could part it out and make more.
Yeah, absolutely. They're even for, especially this is really true for retro stuff. Like N64 games, I will always part out. There was one, I think it was Worms Armageddon, complete in box down here at the time, that was selling for like $300. I sold a manual itself for $350. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I think it's just people who they need a manual. Yeah. They don't want to deal with having to resell the rest of it, right? So it's like more money than time kind of scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm assuming that works best for rare games, because if you got common games, it's 3 lotted up and just put a whole bunch of them in a box and sell them off.
Yep, absolutely.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't get rare games very often. My area is way too picked over for that stuff. Okay, so moving on, we have our mandatory break. So we'll pause right here for a quick break.
Hello, I'm Eric from the Mighty Q-Dog channel. Here in the Q-Dog house, we accept only the highest level of quality, which is why we listen to the Polykill podcast. Twice a month, hosts Caleb and Scott break down the video game issues of the day, offering...
It's not the one with Caleb.
What?
It's not the one with Caleb and Scott.
It's not the one with Caleb?
Polykill has Travis and Jake.
Who?
Travis and Jake.
Who the Swayze are Travis and Jake? Yeah, okay, I got it. Yee-hoo! Listen to the Polykill podcast with hosts
Jake and Travis.
Get in on the
Topic of discussion.
With Polykill, you'll want to just
Beat it.
And we're back. Moving on to the next section, we have story time. So this is where anyone can tell a story, a failure, lesson learned the hard way, anything like that. And as usual, I don't really have a whole lot to add because I've already told most of my stories, but I can just throw out the current value or investment in my game collection is usually what I do here. So I'm at $89.48. I've paid for all of my stuff, which is almost 10 grand worth of stuff. So that's where I stand. So moving on to Scott, you got any stories?
My best story, I guess, or story that comes to mind most readily is the theme is just know your stuff and do research. So this goes back to before I owned game stores, and I was just starting to get into eBay back in like the infancy of eBay. This was probably 1999, 2000, somewhere right around there. And I was kind of getting out of into a hiatus of collecting, and was selling some of my stuff on eBay, and was really the only time that I've ever dipped into my own collection to sell on eBay. And I had my original JVC XI, which is the Sega CD Genesis combo unit, and sold it on eBay because I was like, oh, this thing is just a third party, crappy console. So I put it up for like $45, buy it now. And because I didn't do any research, and it sold within like 12 seconds. And immediately I was like, oh shit, I've definitely done something wrong.
Oh no.
And
back then 12 seconds is a big deal for the internet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing ever even came close. And obviously, it's something that I still kick myself over today because it's kind of a rarity, and I still haven't replaced it in my collection. So it's that thing that just haunts me. And every time I think I know what something's worth, or I know what the value of something is, I always think about that time and decide an ounce of prevention can avoid a lifetime of sorrow and regret.
You could have worse regrets, to be fair.
That's very true.
It could be way worse.
No, very true.
Could be homeless and have no job.
Could have kids.
Yeah. You don't want that.
All right. On that note, Sean. any stories?
Yeah, so I got a fun story. When Mark and I first started their channel, and the retro gaming bug bit me, I went with a shotgun approach to buying, wherein I bought everything. If I saw it and it was for sale, I bought it. Because in my deluded new retro gamer / collector mind, I was going to get everything, which I realize now is insanity. I have neither the space nor the money nor the patience to collect all of it. Hats off to those who do.
Scott.
So I went out and I bought a ton of stuff. I was buying lots of boxed NES games of like Silent Service and things that I don't own them anymore. And it got to the point about 2 years ago that I realized I have a lot of stuff here that I don't need or want. And that was my first purge when that happened. And from that point forward, my purchasing has slowed down immensely. And I'm constantly in a state of trimming what I have. So like if you were to come in and look at my games, or if I was to give you a list of my games, you wouldn't be overly impressed by the number. You wouldn't be impressed at all by the number. But the quality of the games, I believe, are all good. But more importantly, it's a list of games that I enjoy. And I just, for anybody who's new and getting into it, starting out, don't just consume everything all at once. Pick and everybody said pick a small target and work towards that first. But do that, like actually, find something you like and just buy that at first and figure it out before you just buy a bunch of junk you don't need. That's my story.
That's especially true for people getting in now. I mean, you look at the retro gaming market, and I obviously have a big collection, but there'd be no way I would have anywhere near that if it wasn't stuff that I'd been collecting since literally the 80s. It's the market right now is just absolutely nuts.
Yeah. And it's easy for a lot of people to get overwhelmed and just say, I'm going to buy everything. I need the Mario or the Mary-Kate and Ashley games. I need, buying all this junk just for the sake of buying junk. And don't throw your money away. Put it towards something you want.
That's probably another good point too, is the people look at the market now and there's a lot of videos and podcasts and stuff talking about, although this isn't the market isn't going to crash. It's perpetual and it's always going to go up. Well, it's not. Right. I mean, Nothing is perpetual. Nothing is always going to go up. If you're getting into video game collecting because it's an investment for you, just sell your collection now and get out, because you will eventually lose it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Nothing goes up forever.
Yeah. People always equate it back to the baseball cards, right? It's where it kind of always comes around to compare it to that. And, it seemed like it was going to keep going, but has to stop, or people lose interest, or it becomes too expensive to get people in, or
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it goes to where collectors and investors take over. You look at all of the different sites now that are selling game box protectors, and that's sort of what you saw when the sports card market was on its last legs. When more people are spending more money on the hobby of collecting than they are on the actual games themselves, that you're signaling a shift in the industry.
That's interesting for one of you. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, kind of like spending money on your shelves instead of the actual games.
No, that's a good idea. Do that. Keep shelves. Shelves. You got to have pretty cases.
I think we actually have a listener.
I know, that's why it's funny.
Later on, so a little foreshadowing there.
Yep. I was going to leave it at that. Okay, so our next section is collection discussion and topic. So it's kind of about your collection mostly. How do you track your purchases? Do you track your purchases and sales? How do you track it? Word, Excel, paper, etc. Any fun statistics, total games, things like that. So starting with Scott.
I use a application for tracking all of my collection. It's a same software that Dean Round 2 Gaming uses. He was asking me what I use to track my collection. I showed him this, and he fell in love with it. It's for anybody who's really into collecting and getting into kind of the nitty gritty of collecting everything, especially if you're a complete collector. The Collectors app, that's Collectors with a Z, is fantastic. They have a desktop computer version, they have a mobile version, they have a cloud version. So you can literally check your collection anywhere you are. It's been fantastic. I've been using it since I think 2009, and would never switch to anything else. I love it. Before I got into that, I was using spreadsheets, and once the iPhone came out, that's what really sort of jump started me into getting into a more elegant solution that would translate to mobile in a scalable way. Because doing something like Google Docs just wasn't wieldy once you get to a certain volume.
That Collectors app has to be something special because Dean Lasagna converted his entire collection into it. And that's crazy. That's not an easy task.
No, it's awesome. You can you can put in settings for each of the different extras you have, whether it's posters or registration cards or manuals. It tracks everything. It tracks regions. It tracks variants. Dean even uses it to track his figure collection. It's really customizable, really, really flexible.
Is it good for simple collectors though? Like the basic, I've got 20 games for each console. Is that even worth it or not?
It does that. You could just probably get the iOS app, and I think it's $10 for the mobile app, whether it's iOS or Android, and suffice without the desktop version if you're just doing a small collection. And it's got like a scanner built in, so you can just scan the barcodes or take a picture of it and do a search that way. And then what's nice too is then if you ever actually scale your collection up, you're ready made. You don't have to go through a giant conversion. Now, obviously, I've been using this for almost a decade now, so I haven't really been looking at all the other solutions. Back when I started using this was literally, there was like two options. It was this and something that was way, way, way less feature packed. So, truth be told, I can't really speak to comparing it to the feature sets of all of the other solutions that are out now, because there really is a plethora of options.
Yeah. I think this is the one that I actually was starting to use. I was trying it out because everyone was saying good things about it, but I thought it was $19 for the Android app for some reason. If this is the right one I'm thinking of,
the mobile version is just called CLZ.
Yeah, CLZ Games. Yeah, I have it installed, but of course it tells me I need an update, so I was not sure if this is the right one or not. But
if the mobile version doesn't charge to update it, so if you bought it, you should be able to update without a problem.
Yeah, so I can do the update, but as soon as I go to see full app, unlock full app for $18.95.
Wow, then it definitely went up, because it was only, actually I think it was even $4.95 when I bought it, and then it went up to $9.95. So
unless there's a feature difference or something. I know I added the first, you get 100 games for free, and I added those, and it was easy. I just wanted to, it is 100.
That might be the conversion of Canadian to US. The difference
probably doesn't help. Yeah. Just says remove database limits if I upgrade. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was just trying to build up my Google Rewards money, since it's free money for doing surveys.
Yeah,
I'll probably use that whenever I build it up. It's at $10 now, but
yeah, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. It shows you database totals. It'll sync with price charting now, so that it'll automatically pull in all your values. And
that was when I actually started to switch over to it, because I'd heard it did that, and I'm like, okay, I want something that does that, so that when I'm out and I'm looking at a game, I immediately know what it's worth.
Yep. And you can know
what my collection's worth too.
You can build up your whole want list on it too, and that'll sync with price charting. So it's just easy. You can scroll through on a given platform, say, oh, I'm looking for these 4 games for this platform. I should be paying X, Y, and Z for them.
Okay. Yeah, thanks to Travis, I actually have the price charting price come into my Google Docs spreadsheet.
That's pretty slick. I heard you talking about that in a previous episode.
Yeah,
That's
he gave me
awesome.
the script that he had found to do that, and I did a few changes to it and made it a little bit easier. There's still an issue I have with it actually, but that's more technical that I'm sure we want to get into here. Okay. Yeah. So next thing, you had stats.
Oh yeah. So I looked at the collector's database here. I currently am sitting in. I don't put anything that I have for sale in it. I don't track any of that stuff. It's just what I have on hand. The room that I'm sitting in now is, for anybody who's watching on YouTube, is my eBay room. So this is just all crap that I have for sale. This is where I do all my shipping. So I apologize. It's a disaster. But the collection has 5,432 CIB games, which I just realized is also kind of a fun number because it's 5432.
You have to sell 1,111 games though.
Yeah.
4321.
That probably isn't going to happen.
No.
I think 6543 is going to come more is more realistic.
Yep.
I'm currently sitting at 9 complete North American sets, and I'm within 2 games each of 2 more. And unique consoles, I'm currently sitting at 127.
Cool.
Wow.
Crazy. I have my console sitting right here and it's not 127. All right. Now that we're all depressed with our own collections, Sean, how you doing?
Oh, great. I can't wait to follow that. I don't have to say my numbers, right? That's not a thing I have to do.
You don't have to. No, nobody
good.
has to.
Yeah. Everybody just heard me count out my entire NES collection. I used to track using the puregaming.org iOS apps. They're pretty good. They have a list of all the games for each console, and they track prices. And you can they give you links to current eBay sales of those games if you want them. And I also use an Amiibo tracking app, but I stopped using both. I stopped using the Pure Gaming one because I'm not hunting enough for games. I'm not adding enough to my collection to need to track it anymore. And I don't track Amiibos anymore because I just have them all.
Hey, we found something that you didn't have.
Subset
That's true.
complete.
Yeah, that's true. I am missing Box Boy, 3 of the Monster Hunter ones, and Poochie and Gold Mega Man. But
And you don't miss the Animal Crossing ones?
no, I don't have any of the.
And you don't miss them, I mean.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bother me.
And more importantly was the Skylander half-breeds.
Yeah, I'm not into half breeds, so they're not Amiibos to me. They're Skylanders.
Yeah, they are Skylanders to me as well. That's why I have them
Yeah,
for my son.
I'm not sure. Whatever you got to tell yourself.
Yeah.
No, I don't miss those ones. And in all honesty, I don't really have the space for them in my
I probably have them right
my
within
custom
reach.
Amiibo case.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And for me, same old story. I track with Google Docs sheet. I'm, as I said, was starting to use an app. I had another app, which was the video games app by Sorted Apps, but I kind of just stopped updating it. I don't love it anyway, so I kind of just gave up on adding new things. And Sean reminded me that I should find a Skylanders tracking app because we keep buying duplicates, and I should stop doing that. Once I buy 3 duplicates, I'm like, okay, I need to figure out some better way of doing this because I can't remember which ones we have. Part of the problem with that is my son gets them as rewards for being good, and we have some that I bought and are in a bag, and he hasn't got them as rewards yet. So I forget which ones those are because we haven't played with them. So that's the problem.
If you get the collector's app, you could track your Skylanders in that too. They'd be all in one.
The collector's game app though. Does it do?
Yeah,
Skylanders?
you can basically create custom lists in there.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
creating
how
anything,
that's
though.
how Dean did all of his.
Yeah, my problem is time investment. I know there are Skylander collecting apps already out there that already have the database. I just keep forgetting to grab one. Yeah. So I'll find it eventually. I wrote it in my search for it in Google Play Store. I'll try and remember. I don't want to create a custom database. It's already got to exist. I don't care what the app is as long as it's hopefully free and decent. But it's mostly just I'd even write a text list of which ones I have. The problem is the bottom of the Skylanders has a number and doesn't have a name. So if you're looking at the box, you need the name. But if you're looking at the bottom of it, you need the number. So anyway.
Gotcha.
No one really cares about Skylanders except for Steven Eider. All right. So next section here is listener questions. You can tweet at #DollarDorks if you have any questions for me or my guests on the next episode. You can ask under the Cartridge Club forums, under the Dollar Dorks podcast, or in the YouTube comments of this video or any other one. So what was this is a question from Flock of Nerds, sorry. Our first question: what was the most disappointed you've ever been with a video game? Like a game that you were super jazzed about, of course, Miles would say that, and it turned out to be a flop, retro or new. We'll start with Sean.
Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. So it's a toss-up between this and Two Worlds 2. I had, up to the point that these games had come out, I had never traded a game in at EB Games. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City got announced. I got super hyped for it. I pre-ordered it the day it came out. I bought it and the the strategy guide for it. I rushed home to play it, and it was a steaming pile of garbage. And I don't think I had it home for more than 2 hours. And I was driving back to EB Games to trade it in. It was that bad.
Wow.
Because it back early.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be like a third-person cover-based shooter taking place in Raccoon City during the events of Resident Evil 2. And and you played as Hunk and a team of Umbrella mercenaries. And this all sounded great to me. I was like, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be like a fun shooter in this world that I love.
Years of War.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, cover-based shooter.
But it was garbage. The controls were off. The aiming was terrible. The AI was brutal. It was one of the worst experiences I've ever had.
Awesome. I hope that was a little bit of therapy for you.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me talk about it.
My name is Sean, and I have a problem. Okay, Scott, how about you?
So I have two. One of them is a recent one, so that's probably why this one hurts the most, because of recency bias. But Road Rage, which just came out for PlayStation 4 from Maximum Games, and it was supposed to be a Road Rash, like not really a reboot, but like an homage to Road Rash, which was one of my favorite games of the whole 16-bit era. And instead of a Road Rash homage, it was just a steaming pile of turd in a case. I played it for about 5 minutes and took it out and threw the disc across the room. It's god awful.
That's terrible. I had heard about the game and I thought it was interesting too, because I always liked Road Rash and want to revisit that. But
it's not even a Road Rash. Like the advertisements definitely made it look like Road Rash, and the trailers all made it look like it was a Road Rash clone. Okay. It's more of like an open world driving mission game. It's not even Road Rash.
Oh, so there's no racing where you're attacking people beside you.
You are sort of attacking like open world people. It's like if you took
the same thing, right?
Yeah,
The main part is you're hitting guys you're competing with, right?
Right.
That's what it should be. Okay.
Yeah, it's terrible. But even more so than that, going back, I was a big MMO player. Back in the day, I went through Ultima Online, played Dark Age of Camelot, World of Warcraft, Warhammer, Age of Reckoning, just a ton. And as a huge Star Wars nerd, when Star Wars Galaxies came out, I got huge into Star Wars Galaxies and had a blast with it. And then about a year, maybe it wasn't even a year into the Galaxies life cycle, Sony Online Entertainment completely changed the way Galaxies worked. And they took what was an awesome game and turned it into Road Rage. So that was just a complete nut punch, because it was something that I was looking forward to, and then it was awesome, and then they patched the awesomeness out of it.
Yeah, I never played it. But I was just looking at, I thought I had Road Rage in my wish list on Steam, and I realized it's actually Road Redemption that I have in my wish list on Steam, which just came out on October 4th, 2017. So I wonder if that's any better of a clone.
Yeah, I hope so.
Not to derail your topic, but
it can't possibly be worse, so it's got to be better.
Well, it has 3,000 reviews almost, and they're very positive on average.
All right.
So,
I mean, Road Rage's reviews on Metacritic was like a 20.
yeah.
so-
This is not. I don't know what there's Metacritic there. It's a 70 on Road Redemption. I'm trying to see what platforms it came out with. So it came out on PS4. There you go. Road Redemption. Go for that instead.
All right. Definitely gonna have to do that.
Yeah, maybe that's the better option. Okay. We're done. Just making sure I didn't cut you off. Too bad.
Nope, I'm done.
Cut you off too bad. Not cut you off too bad. I did. And me. So a game I actually enjoyed, but I was disappointed that more people didn't enjoy, and that made me enjoy it less, was Duke Nukem Forever. I actually pre-ordered the game when it was coming out. I took a day off work, and so did two of my friends. We all played it single player first, and then we went and played online, and there were not enough people to play with. I found the game was a solid game, but the lead up to it just made too many people sour. And I don't blame people, especially people that had 15-year-old pre-orders from companies that were bankrupt or whatever else. So it sucks. And I still did enjoy the game. That's about it. That's the closest thing I have.
I haven't played Forever.
Yeah, it was just a normal first-person shooter a la Duke Nukem.
I'm sure it probably got a lot of crap just because of the saga that it took to actually come out.
Yeah, exactly. Company tries to reinvent the game 15 times while creating it over 15 years.
Yeah.
Start over on the engine, and then it goes bankrupt. Or
Yeah, didn't it
I don't know
bankrupt
what
like
they did.
2 companies?
I think so. Yeah, it was crazy, and it sucks that all happened. But at the same time, it was a decent game, and I love Duke Nukem. So, yeah. Now, if they had changed the voice actor, that would have been different.
Yeah,
That would have made me angry. Okay,
and that's
So
what
we got- yeah,
that's what all the nostalgia is, right? I mean,
Yeah, I know.
Everybody
The
thinks
voice
back
actor-
to playing it on PC, and
and the
awesome.
personality and everything about it. Even also little hidden things, and like mirrors in the original game was a big deal. So them still doing that kind of stuff in the new game was cool. Anyway, yeah, I don't sit on that too long. Okay, so the next question was from Mighty Q Doug. This week, both your guests have awesome custom cabinetry for their collections. So, what percentage of your expenditure is for overhead? Is the cost considered part of your collection cost or not? I guess. So, Scott, you want to start this time?
sure. So my game library is all stored on like a custom. It's not really custom. It's slat wall shelving basically. So it's just like single track shelving. So I just buy a bunch of wooden shelves and they hang on the wall, and they're really customizable. I went that route instead of the the media shelves that you buy for $100 at Best Buy or whatever. So I gotta stop reading the chat. I gotta stop reading the chat. So I'd say I probably only have a few $100s into my game library shelving, but I do have a pretty significant investment into my console shelving. I wanted to be able to have all of my consoles hooked up and ready to play at a moment's notice. So I designed a custom cabinet for all of my game consoles. And it's fully wired up. It's got 30 different cubbies in it for different consoles. It's got cooling, it's got temperature sensing, it's got electrical in a hidden back compartment with all of the AV switching. It's got a couple of G-SCART RGB switches, a couple of G component switchers for sort of that mid-range, not RGB, not HDMI, but the component systems. And so it kind of keeps everything really nice and adult looking in the actual game room, as adult looking as a room filled with video game consoles and memorabilia can get, I guess.
Okay, get into the cooling. What? I'm assuming you mean fans.
Yeah, so each one of the individual console cubbies has
3 of them.
has a fan in it, and then that is each cubby is temperature sensing, so it's got a little temperature thermal sensor in there, so that it kicks on and off as if a system is on, it'll turn and cool that cubby, and then it's got a hidden back compartment as well that has all of the electrical and stuff, and that's got cooling and temperature sensing back there, so that it protects all of the electrical components from overheating. All of the it's got battery backup back there, keeps that nice and cool. Just tries to prolong the lifespan of all of it with
that's crazy. I didn't know about that part. That's awesome. I love little electronics projects like that. I was gonna dig more into it, but I don't want to bore people.
It was a lot of fun to design. I spent about a year designing it on paper and pen, just trying to make sure that I had what I thought
Cocktail
everything
napkins.
through. Yeah, mostly cocktail napkins and toothpicks.
Yeah.
Little paper mache project to start with. And then I decided I should probably upgrade for the paper mache version because that was a fire hazard.
Do you still have the plans for that?
Yeah, I do.
Are they for sale?
Sure. Everything's got a price. I'm a capitalist at heart.
I think a lot of people would be interested in that setup.
Yeah, I can definitely post a schematic. I actually have it all saved into like Microsoft Excel because that's what I use every day, and it looks like I'm working.
Ooh.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I'm happy to share it. It's kind of a cool project.
I'm curious because that sounds awesome. I'm curious now where you got the temperature sensors, and the fans. I'm assuming it's all computer hardware, but I said, I don't want to dig too much into it because I don't want.
Most of the stuff I got from coolerguys.com. They do like custom AV equipment, so they sell all the temperatures, thermal stuff.
Oh, so I didn't realize that was a thing with custom AV equipment, but
yeah.
Huh. That's cool. I will look forward to whenever you do share that out for free to me.
Yeah. I will post it up on the cartridgeclub.org forums. That's short for organism.
Orgasm.
Oh.
All right. Sean, you want to answer the question?
Yeah. So,
do you want to answer this question? Let's start there.
I do. Yeah, I'll answer this one. I've decided. So I have one custom shelving unit, but I do have 3 other. They're like those cube shelves you can get from everywhere that sells shelving. I think it's the Martha Stewart collection from Home Depot. I have 2 of them mounted on either side of the window on my wall, where I put most of my games, or I have little displays set up in them. So they're not really custom per se, but their mounting, I guess, is a little custom. But I think the question specifically was designed to my Amiibo case. I've got it's about 6.5 feet tall, maybe 7 foot tall Amiibo case that used to be a Ray-Ban sunglasses case. And there's a local artist in town who does custom NESs and other consoles. And he had a bunch of these cases that he bought from a store when it closed. And he asked me if I wanted a case for my Amiibo, and I told him yes. So he put it together for me, and I really like it. It's really nice. There's a halogen light up one side of it that lights up. The shelves are all clear plastic, and it's reversible, so you can flip it back and forth. And it's got a storage unit underneath. And the artwork is all taken directly from Nintendo's ads. And then he has the word Amiibo etched up the side of the door. But I like it a lot. It was $150, Canadian, which I think is a reasonable price to pay.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a really good deal.
Yeah, that's an amazing case.
Like he maybe made it a passion project that he really wanted to do this thing.
Yeah,
so
I have
labor or something.
Yeah, I'm sort of like a museum for a lot of his artwork. I have 2 NESs, an N64, a Game Boy, and then that Amiibo case. And I'm in talks with him to get a 3rd NES. As well as a Super Nintendo, a GameCube, and then possibly some Sega consoles, but we'll see about those. So yeah, and he only lives 5 minutes from my house, so it's sort of like if anytime he wants to visit his work, he can just come here. Cool. But it was a great deal, and it's getting really full. So I might need another.
Stop releasing new ones.
yeah. But Eric asked if it was how much was it?
Yeah. So
what percentage of your expenditure? So, like I said, that was only 150 Canadian, And if you tally up the cost of the amiibos at, even if you average them at $20 a piece or $15 a piece, I think they're 20 a piece now, taxes in. Actually, I think they're 26 now. It's less than 10%. I think there's like 60 amiibo or something in there. So yeah, it's a fraction of the cost. And it really, because I open all of mine, so I find that it really helps give that pop. It's all about the presentation, right? Like I want them because they look nice. They're like little statues essentially that I do use in games, but I want to display them. I want them to look at it. And it's all about that presentation for me. And I think if they were just on a generic shelf, it wouldn't be as good. Jose Otero from sorry, not Jose Otero, Per Schneider from IGN. He actually has every amiibo. He's not missing the ones that I'm missing. And he has them all on a floating shelf against a brick wall at IGN headquarters, and they look really sharp. And I have other friends who have amiibo and they just have them on generic shelves, and it doesn't look as good. The presentation's not there. So it was worth every penny for me.
And mine are on a black floating shelf on the wall.
Yeah.
But I have 4. No, I have 6, whatever.
Hey man, you're doing good. It's not a competition to see which one of us can get to 6,000 games first.
My money's on Sean.
Good thing it's not a competition. They'd be good games because I get a lot of really shitty games. Okay, let's not go there.
It's a comeback story.
The underdog.
Everybody loves an underdog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I'm at like 400 games. So unless you count my Steam library, but that's different. Okay, and I'm answering this question even though it was not at all directed at me because I don't apply to the criteria. But anyway, I spend as little money as possible on my shelves. I have a really neat DVD shelf that I got for free right here from a Facebook group. My wife found it. DVDs fit perfectly just sitting there. There's no extra space. It's not very deep, which is uncommon for shelves because usually they're bookshelves. And then I have IKEA floating shelves for action figures, amiibos, and Funko Pops. There's like one there. Yeah. And those were usually bought at garage sales or wherever hell else I can get them cheap.
I like that your shelving unit isn't so deep. I like that the games fit right to the edge.
I know it's literally meant for DVDs. I could not have found a better shelf. I tried.
It looks sharper.
Yep.
When Colleen and I have been looking at shelving units, we now have a spare bedroom because one of our children moved out. Huzzah! And we've been looking at shelving units, and she every day all she tells me is that she wants them deeper, and because she wants to put more stuff in there. And the shallow ones I think just look nicer.
Yeah, it takes up less room in the actual room. I mean, it doesn't help here because they're beside the couch anyway, and I have a whole bunch of junk here. But
that's stuff in the back you can't reach. You're reaching way in there. It's like you're putting your arm in a pit.
Yep. It does. Yours would fit more because it's double back, but then it's buried, so it doesn't really help. Yep. I'm glad I'm glad it's basically just enough room for my collection, and if it wasn't, I'll start getting rid of shit because I don't need half these games anyway. I think I should need to do another purge. So, okay, where are we? So, must you have it? Must you have it said to Scott specifically? I don't understand what happened here. Oh yeah, two questions. So one specifically for Sean, one for Scott. So Scott, I heard you indicate that games only go into your collection once they're complete. Do you still piece games together? So you kind of already answered that before, right?
Yes, I rarely do. I will if I get a good deal on something. So if I see a card only for just a ridiculously low price, I'll pick it up because I know that I can still probably piece it together for less than the cost of just buying a complete one. But again, it goes back to, it's like the flip side of why I part things out when I sell it. If I'm buying something that's not complete already, I know I'm buying myself a project and I don't have all that much time on my hands. And B, it's going to end up costing me more in the long run. So I try to stay away from that.
So the way I was thinking you were going to say you look at that is pick it up loose so you can always piecemeal it. Or you can find a CIB one later and sell the one you got loose as long as you got it for a good price.
Yeah, honestly, most of I would consider that then just buying something for sale to buying something to flip.
Yeah, I just mean if you weren't sure which way it would pan out when you bought it.
For sure. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Which
But
I guess
again,
that does
it all-
make sense why you don't add it to your collection until it's complete, because you haven't decided which way it's going to go.
Yep. Yep. And I like that my collection database is, for the most part, it's just the stuff that I know I'm done with. You know, it's not
Gotcha.
stuff that is work in progress. And there are a few exceptions where there's things that I just don't know if I'm going to end up completing, where, you know, a manual for something might be ultra rare, like a Hagane or something like that, that then I'll just consider part of the collection. But
Okay. So what about when you're at a store and you see something, you're like, I swear I have that, and you look in your database, it's not there.
then I'll buy it.
If it's CIB, what if it's not?
Then it comes back to the price. If it's something that I know is a price that I just can't pass up, and I know that if push came to shove and I already had it and I was buying a duplicate, that I would still be okay.
Yeah,
And
I guess you sell enough that it's not a big deal.
Yep. Again, it goes back to volume. You know.
Okay. All right, Sean. What would Nintendo, I assume that's what N stands for, have to do to get you to stop buying Amiibo? Or would there be any series other than Animal Crossing you wouldn't go for? That's again from Musty.
I probably wouldn't jump in on a Pokemon series.
What about a series made of cereal?
Yeah, no, I'm also owed. I'm also owed on that.
What about the Nintendo Box Amiibo series?
Yeah, no, that's not gonna. Although I do want Box Boy, but not. That's
That's different.
yeah. No, I think if there, other than the original 150 Pokemon, I don't really know or have an attachment to
Oh, yeah,
current
that's a good point.
Pokemon. And I know the original 150, but I don't love them. And I just sounded like my kid there when I answered that.
I don't love him.
Suddenly I'm channeling a 15-year-old girl. So
Not the first time.
I would say I wouldn't jump in on a Pokemon series. And for me to stop buying the ones I have, if they went back and did a player 2 version for all the Smash amiibos, which I suspect they're going to when they release Smash on Switch, that might get me out of the Smash lineup, maybe.
What about when they release a Amiibo Switch box?
An Amiibo Switch
Yep.
box. I don't
Release
understand.
release a Switch where the box is an Amiibo.
Oh, yeah, I probably wouldn't get that one either. Unless it had the pink and green Joy-Cons from Splatoon, then maybe.
Oh God.
Yeah, that would be.
At least we know your limits. At least we know your limits.
I do fully think that they're going to release a Pokemon line in conjunction with the Pokemon game on the Switch, and I expect that, because if you look at the Smash Bros line, which is the first series Smash Bros, they looked the worst. Of all the amiibo they released, that line looks the least good. The Super Mario line looks really nice. The Fire Emblem line looks really nice. The Zelda line looks really nice. The Splatoon line is gorgeous, but that Smash Bros line, I find it goes for too much of a realistic look, and it doesn't carry over well. But so they went up and did everybody, and then in the last wave, the 3 characters in the last wave all had player 2 versions of themselves, and I can almost guarantee that they're going to go back down the list, releasing player 2 versions of all of them.
I don't like the player 2 whole concept. I think it's silly, but okay.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it, but I don't like it. It sounds like a money grab. But
It definitely sounds like a money grab, yeah.
I don't follow Amiibo very, very well or very closely, but that's what it sounds like to me. Okay, let's just move on. Suggested content. So here's where we each suggest a YouTube channel or a podcast or a game or anything else to check out. And we're starting with Sean.
So I really only watch YouTube channels from the club for the most part. And most of the podcasts I listen to are club related, or if not, I have talked about them before on our show. But one that I don't think I've mentioned often is called School of Movies. And it's hosted by a couple, Alex and Sharon Shaw. And they do extremely thought out, deep dive looks at films or film series, and it's one of the best podcasts series I've ever heard. They used to be called Digital Gonzo like 10 years ago, and then they changed to Digital Cowboys, I think, and then Digital Drift, and then they were something else in between that and School of Movies. Anyway, now they're School of Movies. But they've been around for a very long time, and their shows are very well put together. They're very intelligent.
Yeah, you told me about them when I was mentioning I had no podcast to listen to, and I added them, but then every podcast that they would come out with was movies I hadn't seen yet. I'm like, I don't want to listen to one on a movie I haven't seen and will see.
Don't, because
I don't always mind spoilers, but the detail that they go into, I wouldn't want to hear that much detail. That's all.
Yeah, you're right.
But I will check out one eventually. I might have to go to the back catalog. That might be the best way to do it. Check out
That's what I did.
Already seen and maybe liked or didn't like. And
any of their shows on the Marvel Cinematic Universe are fantastic. They do some funny stuff, like Amazon reviews, and that's all like bad reviews from Amazon. Those are pretty good. But yeah, they're always really good shows. I definitely recommend.
Cool. I should have wrote that down. So my recommendation, it's me next. Smarter Every Day is a channel on YouTube with, I was going to say how many subscribers, 5 million subscribers. So you probably already heard of them, but it's basically making videos about using science to explain things. The guy that is the host, Destin, I believe he's some kind of rocket science scientist. I believe he said that before for NASA. And he basically just, sometimes slow motion cameras to explain things, sometimes just odd experiments to explain things, but just neat things in everyday life that he explains with science. And he has an obsession with guns, if that helps anybody who's listening. Not everything's gun related, but there's a lot of episodes where he will do experiments with guns, and it's pretty interesting if you don't like guns, especially slow-mo cameras. Yeah, Smarter Every Day. Scott?
Nice. I actually had not heard of that, so I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah. Definitely a smart guy.
So mine is also CC related. This past summer, I stumbled upon a YouTube channel and am really loving it. It's called, it's based on an old game show, like an old video game show that was from the mid 90s. And I think it was only aired in Canada because I'd never heard about it. And I'm in the States, called Electric Playground. And it was hosted by a guy named Victor Lucas. And so over this past year, he went and uploaded all of the old episodes of Electric Playground, and it's just a blast to go and watch all of the stuff from the mid 90s. There's episodes where he's at E3, at different game conventions. There's episodes where they're talking about upcoming game launches, and it was sort of that transition into the N64 era. So it's a lot of just really nostalgic fun going back and watching some of those old episodes that I never got to see, but it reminds me of stuff I would watch down here in the States. And it really has given me a way to find some games that I'd completely forgotten about as well from that era. And now they've started doing new content as well. The YouTube channel is EPN.TV. That's DOT TV. And so he does, I think they do videos like new content every day. It's really high production value. Just a great channel.
And back in the day, his co-host was Tommy Tallarico, who is a music producer, writer for lots of video games. So, and he's the one who does video games live. So yeah.
Yeah. A lot of those old episodes, Tommy's in it. Yeah.
And Tommy's the more eccentric, the more out there. I don't know what you want to call him, but the one who's more entertaining generally, whereas Victor is like I would say the more factual one, down to earth, whatever you want to call it.
I think Victor Lucas is doing stuff with Happy Console Gamer now.
He was definitely, yeah. They had some videos together a couple months ago for sure. I haven't watched it recently. Can't remember what video it was that I first saw them on, but yeah, Happy Console Gamer. I think they're both from the same area, Vancouver area, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely lots of good videos. There are a lot of newer and trendy videos on there now. He'll do like daily questions and stuff.
Yep.
think
Did you-
actually, just recent, not like maybe last year, I think he actually had Buried on Mars wrote in and asked a question and got a happy birthday from them, which was neat.
Oh, nice. Did you guys watch Electric Playground? Like, were you?
Yeah, as a kid, I did. And, I didn't watch it a lot. I think it was either a bad time slot for me to watch, or I think my brother wanted to watch a show at the same time. But there were definitely times where I watched it a lot.
Nice.
I never did.
Did a lot too. My neighbor who I always played games with.
Yeah, just a cool blast of nostalgia.
Yeah, it's good. I agree. And we did have that recommended a previous month. I think that was when NJ Retro was on. Maybe he had recommended it too. Still good. And at that time they hadn't had all the old episodes uploaded yet. They were doing that recently. They had waited till they got to like 50,000 subscribers, something like that. I think it was before they were doing that. Okay.
Yeah, I just discovered it this summer. It was on just like we played randomly after some other video I was watching. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And it was one of the old episodes.
Nice.
And so then I went in and I think they were in the process of uploading them all at that point, because I must have watched an entire weekend worth just of that channel. It was great.
Their old ones were so crazy. They would go and meet with developers, like at the developers' headquarters. They would have like videos with them meeting with id Software. They have them playing tennis with Nintendo guys at Nintendo's headquarters, and then they also had a video with I believe it was the launch of Road Rash.
Really?
I think maybe a PS1 Road Rash, or no, 3DO Road Rash, maybe it was. Anyway, yeah, I remember seeing that one. That's one of the ones I remember seeing them upload first from the old shows.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Yep, good stuff.
Well, that's wrapping it up here. Our next section is plugs. So we're gonna plug Scott. He's at VG Collectaholic on Twitter, co-host of the Masters of Unlocking podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun, Derek. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. Sean, he is on Twitter at Cartridge Bros, co-host of the Cartridge Club podcast, and as we said before, our benevolent leader of the Cartridge Club.
Yeah. Thanks. Don't call me that. Thanks for. Rumors are starting that people are saying things.
We had another comment that Scott had for you, but I can't remember what it was.
Our benevolent but forgetful leader.
Forgetful.
That's right. Yeah. Miles and Catherine call us the sibling dictator, ruthless dictators. I think ruthless sibling dictators. I think it is.
Yeah, but I didn't want to be too honest.
That's right. Derek gets behind the scenes. Thanks for having me, Derek. I know it's not really a show for someone who doesn't sell, so I appreciate you squeezing me in after months of begging.
Not literally at all. You are partly to credit for the creation of the podcast, so I really couldn't say no, even if I tried.
We needed a DD to fill in our alphabetic.
I know, right? We still don't have an AA, but I guess there already is one.
Yeah, and most of the club members are members.
Oh. Speaking of which, go check out cartridgeclub.org for the community that brought us all together. Community of gamers, collectors, content creators, friends, and as we know, resellers. So thank you for listening, and thanks to my guests for coming on. Cha-ching. We just lost Scott, didn't we?
I don't know. I'm on Facebook.
So I can always just run downstairs and go on my desktop in my podcast room if that works better.
You are quite a pretty man.
Oh,
you just don't buy it.
But I've got a complete set, and I got to keep it complete now. You know,
well, yeah, but
I'm in for a penny. I'm in for a pound at this point.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is you're a complete set collector.
I know, it's a disaster. But I live on nothing but beer, so I just redirect all of that food money.
You don't have children, you're fine.
Yeah, that's
don't.
You're fine.
Don't have kids. That's
the greatest thing ever.
Is that we're not to the tip section yet?
No, that is the next section.
Oh, that is the tip section.
That's my tip. Don't have. You like things? Don't have kids.
You guys need to go to the bathroom at all? Drink water? No.
I'm a camel.
All right.
I brought my poop sock and my pee jug.
And
Bro.
your blanket and your hoodie.
Yep, I'm ready to raid, bitches. Let's do some Warcraft. You could cut together an extra show from the bonus
I
stuff.
literally could. I
I was
really
like, this is
could.
the last time I'm having these two bastards on.
Yeah,
Together
This
at
is-
least.
I'm thinking about replacing Mark.